those thousands and thousands and thousands of books I read as a child, I didn't read a single book that featured a black child like me, not one. And so that was a major part of the reason that I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to write books that featured black characters, but were written for everybody.
Hello and welcome to Universal Love Law. Today I'm very excited to be presenting this information to you all today. I'm going to be breaking down this hardcore Aquarius stellium in the chart of Malorie Blackman. And I wanted to do this because, for one, she's a black author, and she's British, but she has excellent work, and the things that she does really reflects the work that she has done reflects so well in her chart that I wanted to utilize her chart as an example for positivity, so that even though people may have these hardcore stelliums in their chart, it's not always a bad thing. These things can fuel your positivity. It can fuel your success. And her story and her life impacted me, like a little old girl from the Bay Area, So I really appreciate the work she has done. So I wanted to present it to the world today. So let's jump right on in with her chart. First and foremost, I'm going to discuss this major stellium that she has in Aquarius, but I'm also going to talk about how the success shows in her chart as well with this amazing T-square. Remember, T-squares are challenging aspects, but when they're utilized properly and one knows how to channel the energy within for greatness, they're able to really bring forth the success and be very hardworking people. So first I'll jump into the stellium energy, and then I'll get straight into this amazing T-square that had brought forth Malorie's success. So as you guys can see here on the screen, there are multiple planets that Malorie has in Aquarius, and they're all her personal planets. Now, her time of birth was not accurate. It was not there. So I'm going to stay away from anything involving the ascendant as well as the moon. And I'm going to stay away from any house placements. I'm going to mostly focus on the information that we can see based on her time of birth and place of birth. So when it comes to her personal planets, you can see that she has her sun in Aquarius. Remember, the sun in Aquarius is a fixed air sign person. So this is a communicator, right? And very fixated on their thoughts and belief systems, as well as ruled by Uranus and Saturn, okay? So this Uranus energy gives her a very original, spontaneous, kind of eccentric personality naturally, as well as that Saturn energy, which makes her disciplined in her thought processes and the way she's showing up. But this affects her Mercury as well, right? Because her Mercury is in Aquarius, her Venus is in Aquarius, her Mars is in Aquarius, her Jupiter is in Aquarius, her Saturn is in Aquarius. So one must understand that people that have this amazing dominance of Aquarian energy can go multiple ways. But for her, it actually played out really well. So let me read this little bit of information. So she's a British writer who holds the position of a child author, right? She primarily writes literature and television dramas for children and young adults. She has used science fiction to explore social and ethical issues. Her critically and popular acclaimed Noughts and Crosses series uses the setting of a fictional dystopia to explore racism. So this is very important because it shows in her chart that she is basically an activist, someone who will fight for the rights of people of a certain group or ethnicity. And it's amazing because that is what the Aquarian energy is. It's the humanitarian. It's the one who brings forth change with a rebellious energy. that is backing it up. Very original, right? Someone who can bring forth change through forward thought ideas, futuristic ideas, ideas that can actually benefit and help, well thought out ideas. And she was able to tap into a creativity to bring forth this energy. And I see that is so absolutely amazing because her Uranus there is in Leo. Her Neptune is in Scorpio, and her Pluto is in Virgo. Her North Node is in Leo. So this is very, very important because I'm going to touch bases on how that Neptune in Scorpio gives her a very unique ability to bring forth the creativity with attention to detail on social and ethical problems that are happening in the world. That's that Scorpion energy that can research and get to the nitty gritty of things. And the Neptune energy is one who can bring forth the creativity and illusion, right? Can bring forth some works of art. And in her case, it is with writing. It's an intense form of art, right? Writing, creating these stories, storytelling, right? It just pairs so well with her Neptune and Scorpio. But the icing on the cake is the fact that her Uranus is in Leo and her North Node is in Leo. So this makes so much sense why she creates literature and television drama for children and young adults, because of course Leo rules the young adults, the children, okay? So yeah, let's jump into this stellium and really understand how it plays out for her. So when we're talking about a stellium, this means that there are multiple planets that are in one sign or a very close degree. And for her, you, as you can see, there's multiple planets in the sign of Aquarius, and I don't think people understand the pros that Aquarius energy can bring forth. But for her, it's a very strong energy. So I'm pretty sure if you were to know her in real life, she may be very conservative and she may be very to herself, being a very logical person. Now, if you read or if you do any research on her, you'll see her in her interview. She does state that she was a computer programmer before she even became an author. So this inspiration came to her later in her later 20s. So, that's around that Saturn return, right? That Saturn energy, right? So it makes you really evaluate your life and figure out what it is that you truly want to do. So she went from computer programming, that's that logical thinking that Aquarius energy brings forth. And she channeled that Neptune, remember, in Scorpio, and that Uranus in Leo. She was able to channel that, which I will get into that amazing T square that she has. But she was able to channel that energy to bring forth these amazing forms of work for the world. And it's all because of that sheer discipline. And remember, Aquarius energy is ruled by Uranus, but it's also co-ruled with Saturn. So Saturn will give a person an immense amount of discipline when it comes to the work that they do. This stellium is fixed, so she's a very fixated person, someone who can focus on the goal, focus on achieving and accomplishing and getting things done. And a very logical thinker, makes sense for why she was a computer programmer, right? Someone who can analyze and someone who can look for flaws, someone who can perfect something in a sense. So when you understand her drive, it is not only based on her stellium in your Aquarius, because yeah, that Saturn Uranus energy is very powerful, but let's look at it in the planet. When it comes to her Mars, it really gives her this gift of bringing forth new ideas. And when it comes to her literature, she's bringing forth these very fun and fresh forms of art or forms of literature, and even like television series that are appealing to the youth, to the youthful audience. So Mars will give forth those amazing ideas, as well as Mercury, which is the mind, the thought processes. And Jupiter brings luck and expansion when it comes to these practical ideas, right? And so what she's doing is, even in her interview, she talked about having to create her own slang, because when she write a book, if there's a word that had just came out at that time, by the time the book comes out in like 18 months, 2 years, it will no longer be popular, those words. So she was so inventory to think, let me create my own slang so it never goes out of style. And that just shows you the versatility and the unique abilities that Aquarius has and is able to bring forth. Very unique mind processes. So last but not least, taking a look at this stellium energy, she also has her Venus there. So when you have all of these planets, mainly for her, it's her Jupiter and Sun, because it shares such a close degree with her Venus. She has a lot of luck in her like relationships with others. Her relationships may primarily be very based on friendships, and she can also have very diverse friend groups, valuing her friends, and even potential mate would definitely have to be friends first, because that Aquarius energy requires a connection of the mind, the meeting of the mind. Now, let's get into this success for her. So, what's happening for her is she has this T square. So, as you know, as we know here on Universal Love Law, when it comes to T squares, it causes tension. Remember, there's something that needs to be worked on. There's an act to achieve goals. There's friction, right? These T squares always bring forth a feeling of no relaxation. And for her, it's involving her Sun and her Jupiter. As you can see, her Sun and Jupiter is opposing, which is that blue line, her North Node. So that North Node energy is opposing her Sun and her Jupiter, right? So remember, with oppositions, will always bring forth some feeling of separation or some feeling of difference. And in her case, she may feel this when it comes to her purpose. So it's very hard for her to tap into this social platform and this notoriety, this celebrity, this famehood that is coming with this humble Aquarian energy. She's a part of the group. So it's hard for her. It may have been hard for her to integrate this Sun and Jupiter, which is in Aquarius, this expansion on her personality, on her purpose, and really intertwining it with her life path, which is her North Node energy, working with children. So she may have went through, going to school for computer technology and all of that. And eventually she was pulled to the very same thing that, was calling her, which is that North Node in Leo, creating works for young children, the youth and the adults, and having notoriety and fame and fortune from it. Having a platform where she's appreciated for her work, she has to integrate that. She has to get a balance with that. And that's where that opposition, but it causes a lot of friction, because now she has to learn how to integrate it, which are those red lines, which are the squares. The squares are to her creativity. Her creativity is the Neptune in Scorpio, which is beautiful. It's giving her this in-depth storytelling ability. She's able to create these stories off of an in-depth perception. Storytelling, that's Neptune. Scorpio, in-depth perception, right? So the square energy is making it very, very uncomfortable for her in her life. And what it did for her beautifully is due to this impulse and this feeling of uncomfortableness, and she may have failed and had to learn how to do things over and over. I remember in her interview, she did discuss how she had to learn ways to write and learn that to be a great writer, you have to read a lot of books. And she had to overcome a lot of things within herself in order to overcome that square energy and unlock her potential, which is this creativity through the Neptune and Scorpio energy. So she unlocked it. And that is called the epics. Okay, so that focal point, which are the connection from the two red lines, it's connecting to her Neptune. Okay, so the epics directs the goal. It directs the goal, and it brings forth achievement where the tension is produced. Where the tension is produced are those red lines, which are squares. The tension is produced from her, of course, her Leo North Node. There's tension produced, hard for her to channel that creativity. It's a challenge there, but she feels so determined. These people work out of the blue. These T-square people that have a very unique approach to the challenges. It's very different than a regular square. Overall, wrapping it all up, summing it all up, one would know that, or one can learn from her T-square energy that her Sun and Jupiter combined, right, which is her drive, her willpower, her action, her ability to express herself, that Sun and Aquarius energy. And it's all dealing with this futuristic thinking, this feeling of tackling these unique social problems, this humanitarian energy that's coming forth. And it's conjuncting her Jupiter, which is expansion, given a bigger picture, her able to really understand the problems and create solutions within her head, brings forth this success and this popularity, but it's opposing her North Node, remember? So it's hard for her to balance out this success and this popularity, this fame, and really channel it. And this is where, like I say, she may have had to completely rethink her career choice. Being such an analytical thinker and futuristic thinker, the computer tech was just not fulfilling her, right? So what was it? Her T-square energy, her ability to unlock the wonders of Neptune. And this is where people should really appreciate Neptune's abilities, because Neptune is fantasy. It's a person tapping into the subconscious parts of their mind, the ethereal realm where they can create and gather information. And for her instance, it's in Scorpio. So she's really pressed on these hardcore ethical issues that are in the world, that she's here to change, that she's here to reform through her creative energy. This is what the Neptune energy is giving her, the epics. Remember, it's the direct link to her achieving this tension, achieving this goals. And how does that feel to a person with a T-square? It's hard. These people take losses. They have to work very hard. Her worth ethics, I can only imagine. But ultimately, it just shows you that Neptune doesn't always have to deal with some sort of disillusion or some sort of deception or some sort of misunderstanding or suffering, right? It can bring forth a lot of creativity, utilizing the intuition, utilizing the illusion and fantasy mind, to create works that are going to impact and affect the world, right? She's impacting and affecting a lot of young women and a lot of young men, a lot of young readers, to influence them that they can be great, they can be authors. And I want to keep it short because I know I can go on and on, but I just want to say that I'm very happy to have done this reading for her today. It's very interesting to see how the Aquarian stellium, right, can play out in the positive, right? And there are some cases where this isn't always so positive. I'll tell those stories for another day. I'll save those for another day. But when it comes to this situation, she is awesome, and she has really impacted a lot of young readers to know that they can do it no matter how you look, no matter what your race is. Forge through and unlock your potential. So I just want to say that. Please let me know what you guys think about this entire reading in the comments below. Of course, I didn't get into her aspects or anything like her squares, her besides this T-square, right? But her conjunctions, sextiles, I didn't get into those smaller aspects. I wanted to focus on some major aspects, which these would be considered like very intense and hard. Remember, T-squares bring forth a determination, because the person that has a T-square wants to feel security off of accomplishing their goals. So thank you so much, Malorie, for all that you have done, and peace.